ever see somebody who exhibits like traits that resembled the toxic person, and then you just kind of have this switch that goes off in your mind, and you're just like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, I've said before here that usually when I'm attracted to somebody, I can almost guarantee that they're probably an unhealthy person. So that's why I don't date right now, because I'm like, this is obviously bad. I need to like rework some shit in my brain. So, I can be attracted to the right people that would be good in a relationship.
Well, I think the hope is that you'll find someone who's broken in the right way, and that's the
Yeah,
difficult thing.
yeah,
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know. I can really relate to that because it's like every single guy I've just been attracted to has just been, it's like I'm a magnet for those types. It's like, what the fuck? So it's like a
yeah.
cycle. I've asked questions about that, and it's like people keep saying it's something that you got to work on inside of yourself, and it's like, how can you work on something inside of yourself when you don't even know what the thing is inside of yourself?
Well, if
You
you
know?
think about it, narcissists probably need someone who isn't as secure with themselves. So
Yeah.
if you have a lot of insecurity, they're going to latch on to that because they know that you're going to be weak. They're going to be able to put you down, and you're going to want affirmation from them or validation from them. So you feed on that while they feed on your empathy. So if you're secure in yourself, then narcissist isn't going to latch onto that as much. Or, I mean, at least be able to like, I think you'd more so just not be like necessarily attracted as much to those type of people. I don't know if that
And
makes sense.
I guess one of the problems that I had was that I was pretty idealistic. Like, even though I saw all the warning signs and all the red flags, it's like, well, it'll get better because we're in love, and that'll override everything because I love this person. So, because I feel this way, it's going to just not happen. And then it kept gradually getting worse. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the
yeah,
new love phase is really easy. It's almost effortless. It's when that new
yeah.
love wears off and then you're into the real love where you have to actually make a choice to love the person, to do things, so each each of your love tank's full, you have a good working relationship. That's the hard part, you know? Um,
Yeah. And
so you don't the one thing that I read and I really liked was don't date someone for their potential, date them for who they
yeah,
actually are, not for their potential, not for what they could be.
I
So,
think that's really good advice. Because, like, at first, like, when you stumble upon those types of people, they can be, like, really charming at first. They can just be, like, really nice and sweet and tell you everything you want to hear. And you're just like, I can't believe somebody's actually saying all this. I mean, I would just, like, fact check it. And even when I fact checked it, though, it was consistent. So it was like, I don't really know entirely what to look for. I know a few signs to look for, but not completely. I don't think it's possible to ever really
how
completely
many
know.
times have how many times does this happen with you?
Uh, I was in um, kind of a difficult situation a year ago, but I got out of it. But I played a part in it too. Obviously, it wasn't just the other person, but just a lot of things happened, and I ended up getting blamed more often than not. So,
Mhm.
and I have to consider what part I played in it too, and what I did to, and what I could have done differently. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I made him take the MBTI test, and he consistently got INTJ, but I doubt very seriously he was one due to the fact that he often argued with emotions or tried to use emotions anyway. So I don't know. But I feel like sometimes like after that it kind of contributed to a lot of self-reflection because it's like, what if I'm a toxic person and what if all this time the problem was actually me? And
No,
it,
you can't blame yourself like that. Sure, you played a part, but no, absolutely not. It's not all your fault.
well, I have to wonder that because, it is a possibility. Because it's like, what if the reason that it turned out this way? Because if they are toxic, then and anybody can be toxic, then there's always a possibility that I could be toxic without even knowing that I'm toxic. So,
Well, do you think you played the role of the empath in the narcissistic and empathic relationship?
um, usually in the past, what drew me in was he had a pretty good sad story, and that really
Yeah.
drew me in because it was like
No.
I
No.
wanted to save him, I wanted to help him, I wanted to do everything for him just to make his life better, and he was like, "Wow, you're the reason of why I'm happy," and it
Yeah,
was
you're
on,
oh,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah,
no, you're okay.
that's definitely one way to rope in an empath for sure. So I mean, you can be sympathetic for someone who's gone through something, but you are not their savior. You'll never be their savior. If they have a hole in their heart, you cannot put it, you can't fill that hole. They have to do it themselves and they can't look to you for that.
Yeah, but the sad thing is that afterwards, like after the relationship, I felt like I don't know, I just had this feeling like some significant part of myself was taken out of that relationship. And I kept going back to him for some time, but then I stopped because I realized that whatever it was, I couldn't really get it back. And for a long time, I felt like there was a hole in my heart. And it was like, shit, I'm becoming toxic and I'm exhibiting these behaviors and I'm becoming clingy with people and it needs to stop. But it's like, and then I noticed that pattern, and it's just like, what the fuck is this hole that I have?
Hmm.
And that's the frustrating thing. I know I should probably get counseling or something for this, but I've been hesitant because it's just like, is it really that bad? And is it really, and I don't know. It's like, do I really have to take care of this? But it's kind of personal. So,
Yeah, it's understandable.
yeah. But what is the hole that like did you ever feel that way like they took something from you but you didn't know quite what it was?
Absolutely. I've thought many days, many days where like I just have this like gaping hole and there I don't know. I want to harm this person for fucking with me mentally. The fact that, we're not even talking now, but like he's still affecting me. It's just dumb. I don't know. I just hate the fact that it has so much weight in my head. It's not so much anymore. I've been working on it, but when I was fresh out of it, it sucked. But
Yeah, I can relate to that too because it's like you just want to just like get over it and just you try to talk to people about it, especially censors, and they're just like, just get over it. They'll turn around and say things like that, and it's like, yeah, you went through something shitty, but honestly, you know, and I talked to one of my uncles about it because it got pretty, and I needed some help during that time. And he was just like, I just don't understand why people get into those kinds of relationships anyway, or why they even stay with those kinds of relationships. And it's just like, fucking shit. I get that you're a callous and sensitive dick, but can you just like not be that way about this, please?
yeah.
Maybe.
Well, this is just me like throwing this out there because I don't really, obviously know what it was, but when you're in a relationship with that type of person, do you feel like you're constantly trying to please them or make them happy and like there's some approval, something you're trying to get from them that's unattainable? And then maybe when they pull away or they leave, that leaves you with that empty feeling of like you never got what it was you actually wanted from them in a sense. Or
Um,
I don't
I
know.
didn't. I didn't really notice. Oh wait, were you asking me or someone else?
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I was asking. Yeah. Or
Oh, okay.
anyone. Hmm.
Um, well, I guess the thing is that I didn't ever feel this way about relationships before because I was kind of apathetic about relationships. So while I was in that relationship, honestly, how do I say this? It felt frustrating a lot of the time because it was like I was constantly fighting for myself and I was fighting for my basic independence. And it was like frustrating to deal with because I wanted to be independent and I wanted to have freedom. And I felt suffocated in that relationship, but I wanted to make it better. And I guess to some extent, I try to not let my emotions be manipulated and sometimes try to force myself to be cool. But it's like they knew me so well, so they knew how to pull my emotions out. And it's like, I don't want to feel this way. And then I felt it, and then I was just like, okay, I'm really sorry. And then I had the guilt, and then it just was like a cycle of things of, okay, I fucked up really bad. And then I felt ashamed for wanting to do what I wanted to do. And then,
Hmm.
yeah. And now it's just like, now I feel like I've become what you described because it's like whenever that happens, it's like I feel that way.
Yeah.
So, but before, I guess, I don't even know what was going on then. It just, and I can be toxic myself too. Like, I mean, when I'm upset or something, or when somebody like tries to trap me or something, or I just get really angry, it just kind of, I do verbally lash out at them.
Yeah.
But
I think everyone has the capability within themselves to be toxic to a certain extent, especially when we aren't being self-aware, which is can be difficult at times, getting caught up in the moment, not
mhm,
realizing, what we're exhibiting or like even what our inner, you have this like inner stuff going on that is so easy to act upon without even realizing like that's what it's all stemming from, and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if that even makes sense.
No, that does make sense because it's like when you're not aware of yourself, sometimes you can get caught up in the moment, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty true.
So for me, what happened is the fact that it turned into a codependent relationship very easily, and actually, the relationship you see the most, like as you're growing up, that's the relationship you're probably going to mirror as soon as you get in a relationship with somebody, unless you know otherwise or know better. And, I was raised with two parents who were highly codependent. So naturally, that's just the kind of relationship I attracted. And, I realized after 7 years, I was like, holy shit, I'm a people pleaser. The whole time I was just constantly trying to do things to make him happy. And because I thought if I don't do this, he won't love me. Or if I don't love like this, he won't love me. Or if I don't do this, he'll cheat on me. Or, you know, if I'm too angry, he'll be mad at me or this or that. So it was this whole thing. And then by 7 years, I realized I like just woke up and I was like, I don't I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I had completely just merged onto what what this guy liked. I was into his hobbies. I was into everything he liked, and I just
Yeah.
completely lost myself. And so, and it was all because I was looking for love because I was insecure with myself. I wasn't I married really young. I was 19 and I never got a chance to grow into my independence and become my own person before getting into a relationship. So I never found myself and completely just lost any sort of identity within that relationship. And that was really brutal to kind of find my own way after that ended. It's like stripping yourself of like mostly of who you've been for your whole adult life, and you're like, well fuck, now I gotta like grow this identity. And I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, so
It's hard
that's how it
too.
happened.
Well, I was gonna say it's hard too, like what you're describing, because to a certain extent, when you're in a relationship, you have to make compromises. You have to consider the other person. You have to, it's not just focusing on yourself. It's so easy though to blur the line. Like what happened with you
Mm-hmm.
is becomes, you just step over that edge, and then it becomes you not losing, yeah, like you said, losing who you are for the sake of this other person. So yeah, it's just a
Mm-hmm.
difficult thing.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I can definitely relate to too. Because it's like when I was in that relationship with this dude, it was like I started becoming so obsessed and so attached to him. And it was like everything he did, I was just consumed by. But it was difficult to actually go and live my own life. But part of it was that every time there was something for me, like even when we were friends, he had to come along and make it about himself. And it was like every time I tried to go do something for myself, it always kind of frustrated him and made him really angry inside, it seemed. But he wanted to do something just to obstruct that in some way. And it's like, I didn't understand it. And I would become passive aggressive too, because then it became a game of warfare. And it was like, okay, well, you're pulling this shit. I'm going, and you think that it's okay to pull this shit. So I guess that changes the modus operandi of the relationship. So I can get away with this shit too. And that is not a good thing to do with toxic people because they'll just use that shit against you, especially if you feel anything. And then the downside was that I actually felt guilt while he could go to sleep in a heartbeat and not like even give a fuck. So
Mm.
while I lay up at night just like staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything, like trying to process it all, like this seriously just happened and I feel guilty about it. And you just like don't feel anything. And you say you do, but you don't. But there's a lot of personal stuff that happened there. So
Mm. Well, are you recovering? Do you feel, I mean, how long ago was that relationship? When did it end?
it ended about this time of the year actually. So
Okay.
it was intense, but we were actually great friends before that. But it just was like in a relationship, it was like a fucking nightmare. And I was just like, I just want some time to be free to be the human being I want to be. That was
Mm.
my gripe. But I don't think he's entirely bad. But I do think that he showed some signs that are concerning in the future. So, and I'm hoping that he changes. But I don't think I should go back to him with that hope or idealism. That's the thing.
Never, don't go back to him.
No, yeah, I'd say that would not.
Don't.
Yeah, I had dreams about him a lot though, and so that was kind of upsetting to go through too. And every now and then I'll have a dream and it's just like shit.
In my experience, I've always found personally that people don't change a great deal, unfortunately. I mean, people can make minor adjustments, like small positive changes overall, things like that, but in that scenario, it just seems like it would be, like you said, that repeating pattern of behavior just starting all over again.
Yeah,
Mhm.
where I always get blamed, and then he can get away with fucking murder, and I'd still be the bad guy. So it's like, fuck. Yeah.
But you're not the bad guy, so
Not according to you
you should
guys,
just
but according
you
to
should
him.
just know that.
I think at one point I reenacted that scene from Scarface because we were having an argument and I just fucking pulled that out on him because it was just like, I think that's how toxic people work. I think they need, people to point at and say, yeah, that's what's wrong with them, just to feel better about themselves. Because, I don't know, they can't face the ugliness with themselves, really, or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is that he's gone to counseling now, and the person that he told me not to worry about, he ended up getting together with her, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god.
That sounds so much like my friend, my best friend. She got married to this guy who was like overly controlling and just really, really messed up her like self-esteem and stuff. And he was into this girl before they got married, and then I think he maybe talked to her a couple times during the marriage, and then after it ended, he got together with this chick. I think they're getting married or having a baby or something now, but it's like good luck with that. The same pattern's just going to repeat, you know? It's going to keep repeating until you have to, if you don't take a break. See, the way I see relationships is people don't believe in taking time in between relationships to like maybe reflect or like let your walls build up some, because like I feel like when you're in a relationship, the things that you normally have guarded aren't necessarily guarded. And when you just jump from one relationship to the next, you're pretty much just setting yourself up for the same thing to happen again. Now, when you give yourself time, you let your wall build up again, so you can like get a better look at what's coming your way, as opposed to then just being let in without any sort of like security system to have to go through or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I think that's good advice because it's like stupidly for my own ego, just to make up for, everything that happened. It's like, okay, well, chances are he's probably dating other people now. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go out and I'm just gonna take what I want. So what I did was I was just like, I tried pursuing several different unhealthy types of relationships and doing risky things to sort of just get over it. And that is so unhealthy to do. Um, and I don't think that that's really a good approach to try to get rid of that feeling.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
because like, I mean, if you're like really messed up and then like you try to get into another relationship while you're messed up, it just comes back and you're like, oh, well, there it is. And the
Yeah.
reasons you just realize like the shit that you need to take care of inside of yourself, and it's just like, fuck.
Mhm.
Like if you have a gaping hole inside of your chest, you can't expect other people to fill that hole because it's just like it's not going to work. Like nobody can fill that hole. You've got to fill it yourself. It sounds so
Mhm.
disgusting, but yeah. But what were some things that you went through, and what did you learn out of all of it?
Who?
Oh, Steve.
Me? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Um. Well. Well, I definitely learned what codependency is. You know, my mom used to throw that word around a lot when I was younger, and it never registered in my head until I looked up people pleaser online, and codependency was linked with that term. So I definitely got familiar with that and how unhealthy it is. I learned a lot about what a healthy relationship should look like and what an unhealthy relationship looks like. I have become familiar with the terms narcissist and empath, like an empathic person. I've come to find out. I mean, I've really dived into more psychology because that whole relationship, I guess maybe just with all my life, just been. I feel like I've just been fucked with mentally, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So it's caused me to just really dive into that kind of thing. So I'm not setting myself up or setting my kids up for things, or so I can at least help my friends or educate people, so they know when they're being taken advantage of, or whatever. I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning. That's why I'm scared to date right now. That's why I'm not dating. But
Yeah.
I don't really want to get into details about what happened. I just don't really like. eh, I don't think it's necessary to like have to tap into that, talk about it.
Same.
And
I feel the
I don't know. I've
same.
blocked a lot of it out, so I don't know. I don't really
Well, I
care
think
to give it
also
time and place.
there's also the fact that this shit's going to be published on YouTube. That's one thing. Two, there are other people in the group, and three, we don't really know each other very well, so we can't really establish a basic, thing of trust. So I could understand like why you wouldn't feel comfortable just like pouring it all out there, and I don't want to pour it all out there either because it's like, you know, I'll tell you the gist of it, but I'm not going to tell you the full blown everything of it because I just don't want to put that onto you. That would just suck. So,
Well, I don't. I think I can handle it. It's not necessarily that like I'm worried about that. It's the fact that I've reflected so much on that relationship that that talking about any scenario that happened or going back and like talking about it, I just don't feel like it's necessary. Um,
yeah.
so I just don't want to do that. It has nothing to do with the fact it's gonna be published on YouTube or anything. But you're more than welcome to share about your relationship if you'd like. Sometimes
Um,
talking about it helps.
I mean, I would maybe feel comfortable talking about it in a more personal setting than this, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like this is a good setting to talk about that. But I like the general topic, but I don't really want to go in depth. I will say though that I did learn something about support groups online because I went into this narcissistic support group thing after I got out of that relationship, and I noticed that there were some weird patterns. Like there were some rules, but then there were some other things. Like at one point, one of the admins said to someone, don't go to your family and talk to them about this because they won't understand. Don't go to your friends because they won't understand. Come to us. We'll understand. And that just takes something off like, this is weird. And I noticed some other weird patterns too. I was just um, like in the group, you couldn't really ask questions because if you asked questions about things or you were trying to learn more about it, they wouldn't give you resources or anything. They'd judge you and almost like attack you. And I actually like I got kicked out of the group because what happened was um like at first I was trying to tell my story and I was trying to get help and they didn't even try to help. They were just like, you need to just do this. Just ignore them and that'll be good. And it's like, um, that's not going to help the issue I'm looking for. And so it just seemed weird. I had to actually go to other groups to get help for it. But what I had was finally, I settled the dispute because it was just like I noticed that every single time I was trying to educate other people, saying, hey, look at this. This is helpful and stuff. I would just get attacked by a bunch of people being like, why are you trying to tell people this? What's wrong with you? And it's just like, I'm trying to provide information for people so that they can be knowledgeable, so that they could get out of it. And they just attacked me. And finally, I looked at the signs of a cult, and I posted something that was like, I think it was like a security test. You know what I'm talking about, like attachment styles.
Yes.
I posted that in the
Attachment
group.
styles.
I posted that in the group, and so what happened was, they attacked me because they were just like, "What is with your survey? We are not guinea pigs. We don't trust that this is by who this is by." And it's like, this is about attachment styles. And then I linked them to the thing down in Wikipedia because it's like I think it's important to, be aware of this so that like you can improve on this in future relationships. And they just kept attacking me. And finally, I posted. I took a screenshot of the warning signs of a cult, and then I posted it in there. And that's when I got kicked, and it was just like, and I was just like, damn. So I was kind of bad.
Well, you should know better, Chloe. Those groups are usually centered around people who want to stay in a victim mentality and not really want to learn more. Or maybe they're just so scarred that they can't trust anything that comes their way. But
Well, the admin of the group had this creepy smile, and she looked like a fucking narcissist. So it was like I studied like I was actually researching all the behaviors and all the stupid ass things that go with narcissists, like how they look with their eyes, how there's like this emptiness where they smile but their eyes just are like there's just something really creepy going on with their eyes. Yeah, I looked at this lady and she just seemed like so fake and so judgmental. And it's almost like the admins were just, narcissists who were only in it just to help people for their own ego. And it's just like, that's not right. You're supposed to help people so that they can get out of that, and not just repeat the same thing of, oh yeah, just apply, just go completely gray rock on them and then that'll just magically fix everything. No, it's an entire emotional process. And that just pissed me off. That group just, I don't know. I guess maybe I should be a little bit more compassionate about it, but it was just kind of like, maybe I am a narcissist though, because I'm thinking about myself and not really them. And it's kind of like I feel like my ego was kind of bruised there, but I don't
no,
know.
well, if we always put ourselves in other people's shoes, then how could we ever, like, we got to be a little selfish, at least a little. And everyone has a certain level of narcissism in them, as some level of it. It's just the higher levels of narcissism when it becomes unhealthy. But it's okay to have your perspective and see through that and not have to favor, how other people are affected by how you feel or
Yeah.
think,
I guess and part of me wanted to actually help other people. So part of me was like, I want to help other people with this and educate them and tell them. And it really just upset me when the group, because it's like, it seems like the admins aren't really coming from a place, and maybe this is just my judgment of it, and that could be it. But it just kind of was like, the admins aren't really, they don't give a shit about the people. They just are in it for their ego, and that's just, I don't know, just pissed me off because it was just like, you're not really helping anybody. You're just kind of trying to keep them in this state of victimhood so that you can, you can thrive off of that. So that you can think that you're helping them and then be like, haha, I helped them today. And that just is so creepy to me. It's just like,
Mhm.
I don't get that. Maybe I should educate myself a little bit more about that. But that really frustrated me. But maybe they thought I
Yeah,
was a
I don't know.
narcissist. So I don't know.
Maybe you could take a test online, Chloe, and find out.
I did take a test online. I think I got like um, 6 out of 100 on a narcissist thing. So I've got
No, you're not.
76%. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to tell if I'm a narcissist or not. But and then people are just like, well, if you were a narcissist, you probably would ask yourself if you're a narcissist, and it's like that's bullshit because, like, I've seen this dude online who, I've seen a couple dudes online who talk about narcissists, and they're just like, and they themselves actually are narcissists. So it's like feeding their own ego to think that they're helping somebody, while at the same time they're talking about themselves. So it's like double narcissistic supply, and it's just like, oh my god, these guys. It's just like, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Hmm.
Fuck. Okay, I need to shut up. I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, you're fine. I
Nah.
don't
Tell me to shut up, for God's sakes.
Okay, fucking shut up, Chloe. God damn it. You never let anyone else have the floor. I cannot believe it. This whole time you've been going off about narcissists, and here you are just taking up the whole space, your voice, and talking about your sad story. We all have sad stories, Chloe. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Chloe's like, okay, too much.
Nah,
That's
I'm
like
just like,
that's like what my inner critic sounds like. It sounds like that.
Aw.
Don't you guys have one too?
Yeah,
It's like, God damn it.
It was like what I
I
was
do.
telling you the other day, Janelle. I was like,
Yeah.
well, there's my inner critic, but then also when it comes to anger directed at other people, it's like if I actually express it how I want to express it, it sounds like a fucking dick. Because it's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. No. I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you for the foreseeable future. Like, fucking leave. It's like that sort of thing.
Oh man. Have you said that before, Ken?
I've thought it before. I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah. That would be the type of thing. It's kind of like with physical fights. It's like, I think I need a punch thrown my way before I can be like, okay, listen, bitch.
Yeah, I couldn't just do that out the gate. That would never happen.
Oh, you could?
Hmm?
Are you? You said
Oh
you
no, I
could?
said I couldn't either.
Oh
No.
yeah.
I feel bad even like giving dirty looks if someone like cuts me off driving or like I just feel so like
Wow.
it's like I want to and then I'm like way too I don't know. And like I don't know, like I feel like I have anger and then I feel like to like show that or like somehow in a way that other people can pick up on it, it's like makes I have a difficult time doing that. So I don't know. I guess it's just like maybe yeah, it's more of like a passive aggressive thing, which that's not good. So.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you ever have like unexpected outbursts of anger where you're like, what? I don't know where that came from. Wow, I guess I've just been, really storing that stuff up. Okay, well, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Composed.
Well, I mean, yeah, generally it's not unexpected because I can feel it
Oh, okay.
building. But I've actually tried, that's one of the things I've had to work on like through the years and get better at is expressing myself in the moment so that it doesn't build into something larger later.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice
I've always been baffled by people who are able to like just be like really calm, cool, and collected, like all the time. Like just nice and caring and you know, but maybe it's because I grew up with like an Italian style family, even though we're not really that much. We're really not Italian, but
Yeah.
like so much yelling. Oh my God. Like, please do not have the windows open ever because the whole neighborhood will hear you. Like, to this day,
Funny.
they'll have like loud yelling, like
Yeah.
string matches. And like, you guys have been there for how long? And you still haven't figured it out. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I feel
So,
like the thing with like the way I am, I only really express my anger to the people I'm closest to, which sounds, I mean, it's not great in the sense that like then I'm only like to everyone else, I'll be like super sweet, nice. I don't want them to like feel like I'm upset with them, but like I can let that guard down so I can really open up more with people I'm close to, like my family, direct family. And so like growing up, especially like my dad and I, but that's the way I work. Like I yell, he yells, I yell, and then we're like 5 minutes later, we're totally fine again, you know? But it's just like
nice.
letting that out and then you're good. But like my husband came from a family where they never raised their voice to each other, except for their dad could yell at them, but everyone else was not allowed to fight, you know? So like we got married and I would like raise my voice and get mad and yell, and it was like would throw him like way off because he was just not used to that at all.
I would feel comfortable if someone like yelled at me, but I'm a sensitive little cinnamon bun. Wait, Jules,
Mm-hmm.
are you Kit Kat?
No. Uh-uh.
Oh, what's your MBTI type?
ISFJ.
Oh, okay. I thought you were Kit Kat because you and she sounded like.
Oh, nope.
I knew this one ISFJ, and for some reason she didn't like me, but I always wanted to be friends with her.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
You're probably like, these cookies could be better, and she's just holding the tray, and then the rage slowly builds up inside. I don't know.
No,
I always make cooking jokes for
It's always
ISFJs. I
gotta,
don't know if they're
it's
good.
always gotta be cookies with you.
Like I knew her too, and she was like really cool, but for some reason she always, I don't know, maybe she thought that I was making fun of her all the time because I'd always try to crack jokes with her, and it would never work. And I was just like,
I
damn.
think the cookie joke is appropriate because they tend to bring you stuff.
I
Like-
wonder what. I feel like with ISFJs, I don't know. Maybe this could just be me, but there's been people in my life where I think like the first, because I've actually talked to you in here before, and you can be kind of what do I say, like off the wall a little bit, you know, like kind of like you have like a lot of character to you, right? Like you have a lot of personality, and I think for an ISFJ, it can be almost um, they kind of like things to be more like subdued, and they feel like if it's subdued they're getting to see like the real you and like who you are, and so when it's like this big personality, it almost like to them shrouds like what they see is like who you genuinely are as a person, and maybe they feel a little off put by that, like they're not seeing the real you, like if that makes sense in a way.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because like I used to feel that way all the time with like family and stuff because they'd always like put on this act it seemed where they'd crack jokes all the time and it's just like, oh my god, that's not you. Like show me the real you. Like I want to dive deeper with you. Fuck. So yeah. But I don't know. Like one time I trolled her, and that seems like a bad thing to
Oh,
do.
that would, yeah, I don't think that would go over well. Not at all. In fact, like the only person I've ever like cold shouldered in here was Roman. And it was the exact reason. Because he trolled me and I'm like, done. Like I'm not dealing with you. And that's the only person in here I've ever done that to.
I wasn't even trying to piss her off though. I just like made a joke account and was like, and finally she figured out that it was me, and it was just like, yeah, it's me. But I was trying to crack jokes with her, and I was just like, I don't know. What I did. This was back in middle school though. I created like some hood rapper account, and I was like, yo, and shit like that. I think that maybe might have upset her or something, or maybe she thought I was making fun of her, but it was just stupid. And then later she would go around and she'd kind of, you know, tell everybody that I was retarded, but really I was just trying to crack jokes with her. So.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I actually thought, because I like kind of reflected back on it after the whole like Roman thing, even though this was so long ago. And I'm like, what is it that bothers me so much about this? Like, why is this getting a reaction out of me? And I think, I don't know if it's typical for ISFJs or not, but I hate feeling like my emotional responses to something are fodder for someone else. Like in the sense that I'm showing my genuine, like how I actually feel about something, and they're using that only as ammunition to turn it back on me in the future.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I didn't want to do that to her. I just wanted to like, I don't know. I just wanted to like do something stupid, and then she'd turn around and be like, "Yeah, that's stupid," and then we both laugh about it. But then usually what happened was I'd do something really stupid to kind of crack a joke with her, and she'd just get quiet and then walk away, and I'd be like, "Oh fuck, I fucked up."
Yeah. Well, see, Jewel, I think this is a good example of somebody who probably has a healthy idea of like what kind of people she should be, I don't know, having conversations with or relationships with or friendships with, because that's exactly what I actually talked with him one-on-one, and it's exactly what he did. Anything that I shared with him, he flipped it around and used it against me. So
yeah.
I would hate that.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I know this is probably not going to go well. You know, when I first started talking to him, I'm like, this is probably going to last like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways because this is interesting. And it's like why do I do this? I don't know.
That's what I was just gonna ask you. I was like, what was the draw? I'm curious, like what the initial kind of pull toward that is, if that makes sense.
Well, it's kind of like you just want an inside look, or like more I don't know.
So do you want to? So is it for you?
See like the patterns that unfold. You want to get into someone's head a little bit more.
Yeah.
Someone who has that kind of personality, like, you want to keep interacting with them because it is fun sometimes. Sometimes it's not. And then you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? And then like a few days go over, and then like you start cracking jokes again, or like, I don't know, having a decent conversation, things are fine. So you keep talking to the person until another conflict, and then it just keeps happening. And you're like, okay, it's too much conflict. I don't have enough mental capacity to handle all of this. Fuck this,
Yeah.
Or, we both piss each other off, whatever. But I think it's just curiosity that
to see what lies underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Because it does seem, I do understand that, because whenever someone has what I would feel is like a facade, kind of like that, where you wonder how is this their actual personality, or how much is this a mask they're wearing, and what's underneath that? Why are they doing this? So I get that there's like a curiosity there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And an entertainment value, I guess.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
if someone like, let's say you're in middle school, and let's say that there was somebody that you went to school with, and they made a hood gangsta account, and then you finally found out who they were. How would you respond to that?
When you shared that story, the thing I thought is just youth. I mean, being young and not. She probably just didn't even know what her emotion. I mean, she knew she had an emotional response to it, but I'm doubt she understood why she had that response. You know, so
Oh,
like, I at that young of an age, I know I wouldn't have had the self-reflection to be like, oh, this bothers me. Why does this bother me? Like, what is it? So I don't think there's any of that going on. I'm sure now, being older, looking back on it, I'm sure she thinks like, oh, I get that was a joke and she wasn't trying to upset me or something. But
yeah, I don't know. I just always got the impression that, well, I went to school in a relatively, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like these people were just like these tight asses all the time. And so I like it was like a really conservative city, and pretty much they were just like they were kind of vainglorious, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, they thought very highly of themselves. Like you acted weird, then they just like they wouldn't talk to you really, or they judge you like really
yeah,
harshly.
I
So
yeah, I grew up I live in a very conservative area also. And I think about it sometimes because my dad is ESFJ. He's very conservative. But my mom, I don't know. I haven't had contact with her in a long time, but I believe she was an NFP type. My brother is an INFP. And I'm so glad I had them in my life to like shake me up and like loosen me up a bit. Or I feel like I would have turned out so uptight. And I'm glad I'm not. Because I know some ISFJs that are very concerned with like manners and what's appropriate, and you should act this way, you should not act this way, and I have that to a little degree, but I feel like I'm much more open-minded, and I think it's because I had influences early on in my life to show me that like there's more than one type of path people can take, and it's okay.
yeah, I'm definitely a big city girl. So, but when I was growing up there, so she kind of was very uptight. I noticed, like, if I even said something weird, like if my extroverted intuition came out, was like, so what do you think about rainbow socks that are attached to fish? And then let's imagine that there's a fish with rainbow socks and it can walk around, but this is all imaginary. That would probably really fuck her up for the rest of the day. And she would later turn around and be like, she is fucking weird. What is wrong with her? And I guess it was kind of like that, and it was really challenging. But it was
Yeah,
like I liked her, and somehow she had an odd interest in me. But
yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Maybe you could explain that to me, because part of me just
Well,
doesn't get
I don't know. I think that one's difficult because so like what you're displaying with that like NE stuff,
that.
it's there's certainly times in my life where I really, really, I mean, for the most part, I really enjoy that NE. Like to me, that's the random and the kind of zany out there. That's what I enjoy. But I also think it could be like a mood thing. So if she already kind of had like a negative outlook toward you, just in general, I think she would. I think it stemmed from that more than her not even liking that sense of humor necessarily, maybe.
Yeah, because I think I screwed up along the way, but I don't know. It's like every time I tried to make an effort to talk to her, it was kind of like there was always this, like, she would be nice to me, but there was always this kind of, I don't know, this underlying contention of some sort where she just
Mhm.
resented me for some reason. And it's like, I can't make sense of this. Like, and I don't even know what I did. So,
Right.
but I mean, I kind of knew what I did because, like, I did something stupid in middle school, but it's like, geez, every kid does something stupid in middle school. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Maybe she was just not a very mature ISFJ. Like, she, um, it, I don't know. They say like with ISFJs, with their dominant SI, they can get stuck, in a sense. And it sounds like she just wasn't growing as a person, maybe to like kind of, because I feel like as you mature as a person and as you grow, you kind of realize you can see different aspects of people and understand them, understand people that aren't like you. But I think an underdeveloped ISFJ would expect everyone to kind of be the way they are, and anything that's not like them, they don't really appreciate. But I don't know.
and oddly enough, she was actually like really popular too. And it was just like, how
Yeah.
are you popular when you act this way towards me? Like, I
Yeah.
don't even get it.
Well,
But
she probably did a good job of like fitting in, making herself. I don't know. Was she ISFJ or ESFJ? I wonder.
oh,
She was
she was,
definitely ISFJ.
yeah, she was definitely ISFJ. Asked her one time, she was just like, I got ISFJ on that.
No.
Okay. I don't know, just like center women are like, they seem a lot more feminine than intuitives, I guess, because they accept that whole societal, this is what femininity is. And it's like, I never could really grasp that. I
Yeah.
wanted to, but I just never could be that way. And I don't know. It was like there was this expectation of how women were supposed to behave in this town too, and I was just like, that's
Funny. Kit Kats was in here the other day actually talking about that. Um, she was in here talking about how she would see groups of censor girls, specifically like ESFJs, and just not like wanting to be a part of it, but not understanding it. Like, she was saying, and just like seeing their behaviors and how they interacted and how they just all knew like how to look this way, how to act this way, and she's just like, I don't get it. She felt like an outsider, like looking in on it, but I don't know. I think for myself, growing up being like a censor female, I mean, a lot of my censor friends, I think, definitely feel like they do fit in. I feel like I've had absolute times in my life where I felt like I didn't fit in either. I just never expressed it, or it wasn't anything you could see externally.
yeah. So, would you say that you portrayed that you fit in?
What's that?
Would you say that you tried to portray that you fit in?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's good.
People started talking, and I escaped into my inner world, and that's where I've been.
Okay, I was just about to say, I was like, should I comment or do I not comment? But you've been sitting there with this look on your face, and I was trying to read it. I'm like, what's going on? What's thinking about?
To be fair, I was talking to Zach about stuff. We were texting.
Oh,
So. Yeah, no, I wasn't laughing
man,
at you
I'm
about
good.
it.
I knew something was going on because I would see Zach give this little smirk, and then I'd see Ken give this little smirk, and then Zach give a little smirk. I'm like, what are those two up to?
Oh, basic shit.
Just
People just started talking a lot about relationship stuff, and I just kind of was like,
Zoning out. I'm over here in my sweet spot, and you're like, I think I'll.
I'd talk more about it,